The first thing Daniel noticed about the family next door wasn't anything obvious. It wasn't loud arguments or strange visitors, or even anything he could clearly explain. It was just a feeling. The kind you ignore at first. The kind you tell yourself is nothing. The house had been empty for almost a year before they moved in. Small two-story place, quiet street. The kind of neighborhood where people waved but didn't really know each other. So when the "for sale" sign finally disappeared and a moving truck showed up, Daniel figured it was a good thing. At first, everything seemed normal. There were 3 of them, a man, a woman, and a boy who looked about 9 or 10. Daniel only saw them briefly that first day. The man carried boxes inside without acknowledging anyone. The woman stayed close to the front door, like she didn't want to step too far out. And the boy just stood in the yard, staring. Not playing, not helping, just watching. Daniel had waved at him once, a quick, friendly gesture. The boy didn't wave back. He just turned his head slowly and walked inside. Daniel brushed it off. Some kids were shy. Some families kept to themselves. Nothing unusual about that. But over the next few days, little things started to feel off. The family didn't come and go like normal people. In fact, Daniel barely ever saw them leave the house at all. No car in the driveway during the day, no lights turning on and off at predictable times. It was like they existed on a completely different schedule. One night, around 2 a.m., Daniel woke up to a noise outside his window. At first, he thought it was an animal, maybe a stray dog knocking something over. But when he looked outside, he saw the boy, standing in the front yard, barefoot, completely still, just staring up at Daniel's house. Daniel froze for a second, trying to make sense of it. The streetlights cast this dim orange glow across everything, and the kid looked wrong somehow. Not injured, not dirty, just out of place, like he wasn't supposed to be there. Daniel cracked his window slightly and called out, "Hey, are you okay?" The boy didn't respond, didn't move, didn't even blink. And then, after what felt like way too long, the front door of his house opened. The father stepped out. He didn't say anything either. He just walked over, placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, and guided him back inside. No words, no apology, nothing. The door shut and the porch light flicked off immediately after. Daniel stood there for a while, waiting for some kind of explanation that never came. The next morning, everything looked normal again. Too normal. No sign that anything strange had happened. Daniel told himself it was just a weird moment. Maybe the kids sleepwalked. Maybe the parents were dealing with something personal. It wasn't his place to get involved. But the feeling didn't go away. If anything, it got worse. A few days later, Daniel was taking his trash out in the evening when he noticed the upstairs window of the neighbor's house. The curtains were slightly open, and someone was watching him. At first, he assumed it was the mother, but as he looked closer, something about the way the figure stood there felt wrong. Too still, too stiff, like it wasn't reacting to being seen. Daniel gave a small wave, half joking, trying to break the tension. The figure didn't move, not even slightly. Then the curtain slowly closed. Not quickly, not startled, just deliberately. That night, Daniel locked his doors for the first time in months. A week went by without anything major happening. Just that same quiet, heavy feeling whenever he glanced at their house, until the dog started barking. Daniel had a golden retriever named Max. Friendly, calm, never aggressive. The kind of dog that barely reacted to anything. But one night, around midnight, Max started growling at the back door. Not barking, growling, low and constant. Daniel had never heard that sound come from him before. He got up, walked over, and looked through the glass. At first, he didn't see anything. Then slowly, a shape moved in the darkness. It was the boy again. standing just beyond the porch light this time, closer than before. Max's growl got louder, more intense, but he didn't bark. It was like he was afraid to make too much noise. Daniel opened the door slightly, just enough to speak. "Hey, what are you doing out here?" The boy's head tilted, not like a normal reaction. Too sharp, too precise. And then he spoke. "Can I come inside?" His voice was quiet, flat, almost rehearsed. Daniel felt a chill run through him. "No," he said, more firmly than he expected. "You should go back home." The boy didn't move. "Please," he said again, same tone, same expression. "Can I come inside?" Daniel shook his head and stepped back. That's when the boy's face changed. Not dramatically, not in some exaggerated way, but enough. The blank expression dropped just slightly, replaced by something that felt wrong, like irritation or hunger. Before Daniel could say anything else, a hand appeared from the darkness behind the boy. The father. He stepped forward, placed his hand on the boy's shoulder again, and turned him away. This time, though, he looked directly at Daniel, and for a split second, Daniel realized something that made his stomach drop. The man hadn't blinked. Not once. They walked back into the house together. The door shut. Lights off. Silence. Daniel locked every door and window that night. The next morning, he tried to convince himself he was overreacting, until he noticed something in his backyard. Footprints, barefoot, leading from the fence to his back door, and stopping there. That was the first time he considered calling the police. But what would he even say? A kid stood outside, footprints in the yard. It sounded ridiculous. So instead, he did something else. That evening, he walked over and knocked on their front door. It took a while before anyone answered. When the door finally opened, it was the mother. Up close, she looked tired, pale, like she hadn't slept in days. Daniel tried to keep his tone casual. "Hey, I just wanted to check in. Your son's been outside late at night a couple times. Just wanted to make sure everything's okay." She stared at him for a second, confused. "My son?" she said quietly. Daniel hesitated. "Yeah, I've seen him a few times." Her expression didn't change. Then she said something that made his chest tighten. "We don't let him outside at night." Daniel forced a small laugh. "Well, he was in my yard last night." She didn't respond right away. Instead, she slowly turned her head, looking back into the house behind her, like she was checking something. Then she stepped outside, closing the door behind her. "That's not possible," she said softly. "He doesn't leave his room." Daniel frowned. "Why not?" She hesitated, and then, almost under her breath, she said, "Because he tries to go into other houses." Daniel didn't know what to say to that. Before he could respond, the front door opened behind her. The father stepped out. Same expression, same stillness. He looked at Daniel, then at the mother. "You shouldn't be talking," he said calmly. The mother immediately went quiet. Didn't argue, didn't react. She just stepped back inside. The father kept his eyes on Daniel. "You're mistaken," he said. "Our son hasn't been outside." Then he closed the door. That night, Daniel didn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., Max started growling again. This time louder, more aggressive. Daniel didn't go to the door. He stayed in his room, listening. Then he heard it, a soft knock. Not at the front door, not at the back door. At his bedroom window, 3 slow taps. Daniel's entire body went cold. He didn't move, didn't breathe. Another 3 taps. Then a voice, right outside the glass. "Please, let me in." It was the boy. Same flat tone, same calm delivery. Daniel slowly turned his head toward the window. And that's when he realized something that didn't make sense. His bedroom was on the 2nd floor. There was no way anyone could be standing outside that window. Another tap, 3 more knocks. Daniel grabbed his phone with shaking hands and called the police. He didn't look at the window again. He just waited. The knocking stopped after a minute. Silence. When the police arrived, they searched the property. They found no one outside, no ladder, no footprints near the walls. Nothing. But before they left, one of the officers knocked on the neighbor's door. This time, the father didn't answer. Instead, the mother did. And this time, she looked terrified. Not tired, not distant. Terrified. The officer asked if everything was okay. She nodded quickly, too quickly. But as she started to close the door, Daniel saw something behind her. At the end of the hallway, the boy, standing there watching. Except it wasn't just him. There was another figure behind him. Same height, same shape, standing perfectly still, like a copy. The door shut before Daniel could get a better look. The next day, the house was empty. No moving truck, no signs of packing, just gone, like they were never there. Police came back later after Daniel reported everything. They went inside. What they found didn't make sense. The house was almost completely empty. No furniture, no personal items. Just one thing. In the upstairs bedroom, a mattress on the floor, and deep scratches along the walls. Long, uneven, like something had been trying to get out. Daniel moved out a month later. He never got answers. But sometimes, late at night, he still thinks about those 3 knocks and the voice that came after. Because whatever was standing outside his window that night, it didn't sound like it was asking anymore. It sounded like it was waiting.